What's up, everybody? This is Super Mike coming real quick. Everybody gotta get yourself ready for work. Get up in the morning, doing your All right, y'all. What's up? What's going on? How y'all doing this morning? Just chilling out. Make sure y'all press the thumbs up. We just want to go into this subject, which these are methods of control. We're living in a society that is ran by people who really are not good on the moral scale here. And they use foundational methods in a way to control large populations. One of those ways is religion or spiritual systems. And these are methods this is the way that people help to answer the questions, the natural curiosity of the human nature. You know, we use religion, we use science, right? We use government to help us regulate, our existence in large groups. And so, of course, these are little spots here for people to come in and try to take control. So what I want to do is deal with the science portion. Often we're told to trust science. Trust science, right? I love saying that. Trust in science. This is the kind of stuff that we're told to do. But what is science? Come up with a definition of science real quick. Because the thing is, the way they say that it's intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study and structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. A particular science, a systematic, organized body of knowledge on a particular subject. So the thing is, I look at science as a method of solving problems, question answering, and verifying information. That's how I look at science. Because the thing is, you don't trust, tell somebody to trust science. It's almost to me like an oxymoron, because science is built out of people not trusting what they were told. You don't sit there and just trust what somebody says. If Galileo did that, then everybody would think that, you know, well, I wouldn't say everybody. I would say that the Western world would think that um, the sun revolved around the earth. But let's go through a couple things here. I just want to go through that because this here science, this right here gets us. Because what I notice here, they make things so complicated that, and then they play with the education so that people just trust. It's almost like if you don't know anything about your car and the mechanic tells you to go, hey, this is what's wrong. Especially once they find out you don't know what you're doing or know what you're looking at. If they're an unethical person, they'll just tell you anything. And that's what we're being told by the medical industry, the biological sciences, even the anthropology, just all of the sciences. Because for some reason, Western world, they like to have easy narratives, time stamps. They don't want any contradictions, and any contradictions that they see or deal with or notice, they simply ignore those contradictions. And this way, their stuff looks like it's on point. But we know that's not the case. So first off, I want to deal with a question on science. Let's deal with this one first. Let's deal with this one first. Let's see. Now, you ever heard of the Big Bang Theory? So the Big Bang Theory says that 13 to 14 billion years, that's all, just 13, 14 billion years. 1 billion is 1,000 million. And they say 13 to 14 billion years, uh, infinitesimally small explosion happened. And from that explosion, everything of mass, of matter that we see in this universe came from that explosion. It doesn't make any sense to me, but they said that they get this number of 13 to 14 billion years from the way that they see the light moving away from a certain point in the universe. And so from their observations, they've made this calculation that the universe is about 13, 14 billion years ago. It doesn't even make sense. But this is what Western world science says. And they don't want any questions. If you start questioning it, then you're kind of laughed at. And that's one bad thing that that Western society does. They love to laugh at people who don't fit their narrative. All right, so let's read this here. Our universe, now this is a different though, but what if we live in a universe and there's a reflection of light, which confuses the way that they see the light from our vantage point? So it says physicist Brian Greene explains how properties at the black hole's surface, its event horizon, suggests the unsettling theory that our world is a mere representation of another universe, a shadow of the realm where real events take place. And if when I was growing up, my room had been adorned with only a single mirror, my childhood daydreams might have been very different, but it had two. And each morning when I opened the closet to get my clothes, the one built into its door aligned with the one on the wall, creating a seamless, seemingly endless series of reflections of anything situated between them. It was mesmerizing. All the reflections seemed to move in unison, but that I knew was a mere limitation of human perception. At a young age, I had learned of light's finite speed. So in my mind's eye, I would watch the lights round trip journeys, the bob of my head, the sweep of my arm silently echo between the mirrors, each reflected image nudging the next. Sometimes I would imagine irreverent, uh, basically, sometimes I would imagine an irreverent me way down the line who refused to fall into place, disrupting the steady progression. So basically, he's saying if you put those mirrors together, you'll see a curvature in them. And he was looking down that line, and it would create like a circular method. Because if you put those mirrors right in front of each other, if you notice, they reflect back, and you can see through, but it begins to curve, and you don't actually see straight through. And so this is what they're saying, that we got to be careful with our perceptions. So the bottom line is, he goes into, excuse me, he goes into several theories, string theories. The string theory is the theory that everything in the universe is basically a vibration, and matter is vibrations, and things that we can hold is basically crystalline light and vibrations. So everything is a thing, thought is a thing. And, so these are just some questions that we need to ask science, especially when they give you these real clean theories, and you're not supposed to question these theories. So, that's just one. Let's look at this one here. Another theory, excuse me, another serious theory is this idea that people came from monkeys. Monkeys was first. They were running around, and you know, humans are more advanced. So, you know, obviously monkeys came first. This is called the theory of evolution from Darwin, Charles Darwin, because of based on his observations, he decided to basically say that these are less advanced and these are more advanced, and so throughout time, this less advanced, the basically survival of the fittest, and because he considered humans more fit than monkeys, then that means that humans had to come from monkeys. This is basically the same theory, and it's unchanged. And any contradictions to that theory are laughed at in Western society. But we see here we have a situation where humans are turning back into monkeys.
A remote village in Turkey. Here, hidden from the world, lives an extraordinary family. A family whose very existence could rewrite the evolution textbooks.
I was really fascinated. Here are humans doing things that they're not meant to be doing.
For the past year, their existence has been known to just a handful of experts who have been sworn to secrecy. When I heard of it myself, I was intrigued, but nothing prepared me for the reality.
Notice the experts were sworn to secrecy. Now, why would scientists try to keep something secret? You see how they choose to try to, they're trying to keep something secret that's true. These people are de-evolving, really they're evolving based upon their conditions and their situation. But this is what they're doing.
Now,
look at
finally,
the body.
The secret can be revealed.
The immediate response I had was that I couldn't believe my eyes. I had never expected.
Look at the eyes.
even under the most extraordinary scientific fantasy, that modern human beings could return to an animal state.
In scientific terms, it was the equivalent of finding living, breathing fossils. Human beings who had never made the evolutionary leap of standing upright. The quest to find out why took a team of scientists on an amazing journey and raised profound questions about what it is to be human.
The thing which marks us off from the rest of the animal world is the fact that we're the species which walks on two legs and holds our heads high in the air.
It's what defines us as human beings.
In many ways, yes.
All right. So that's just another point. You got a situation where you have humans devolving or changing back. So who's to say that the monkey was first? And the monkeys have 48 chromosomes. Humans have 46. So you never know. Now, another part where they want us to trust science. Trust science, trust science. This is what they want you to do. Trust the science, trust it. Don't question. Don't question. Just trust what they're telling you. And then, next thing you know.
So, yeah, I remember I was having this conversation about your job. Talking about, they can require you to get your, we're going to call it your CDC card. Well, you know, they're talking about your CDC card here with your job and what you going to do. And this, right? So, yeah, I remember I was having this conversation about your job. Talking about, they can require you to get your, we're going to call it your CDC card. Well, you know, they're talking about your CDC card here with your job and what you going to do. And this thing, you can't even sue them for it, not whatsoever. So, yeah, it's coming. I told people on Twitter about this, that they say, oh, as long as it's not a government mandate. That's not the way you're going to do it. It's going to be that private business crap that people like to say. It's a private business. It can do what it wants. Okay. When they start telling you to have that CDC card, or you can't buy groceries, or you can't pump gas, or you can't do this, or any kind of essential service without that CDC card, then let's talk about that private business stuff y'all love to quote, you know, when it benefits you.
So that's letting us know that, you know, the bottom line is these folks, they basically are trying to vaccinate skeptical staff. Now, what I put up here is the Nuremberg Trials. Now, the Nuremberg had 10 codes. Nuremberg Trials aim to protect human subjects from enduring the kind of cruelty and exploitation the prisoners endured at the concentration camps. 10 elements of the code are voluntary consent is essential. That's the first one. And the results of the experiment must be for the greater good of society. And human experiments should be based on previous animal experimentation. And keep in mind that is broken too with what we're dealing with now. And finally, I'm going to put this on here. And then we're going to get out of here early today. I want everybody to go ahead and share what's going on. Share it. You see, the thing is, if you don't have information about stuff, you're going to sit up here and you're going to go for a lot of stuff that you shouldn't be going for. And this is why it's essential for us to kind of get ourselves together with this information, because there's nobody to fight. You won't even know to fight. And it takes too much for people to explain, okay, now it's time for, you know, fighting or.
Because my other project was to show that.
Hold on a second.
Project was to show that bovine growth hormone that is making GMOs, making cows make more milk by
Now, this woman, she actually helped get Magic Johnson cured. But anybody who's ethical is going to be, anybody's ethical, they're going to be removed.
To save people, prevent them so the average person understands from getting AIDS. That's what you
Right.
ended up doing.
Correct, by showing the exact immune response.
So let's listen to what she says here. And I don't want to get into copyright infringements, so we're going to stop screen share. And we're just going to listen. This Judy Mikovits.
So the T cells, only 1 in 10,000. So the personnel director said, Judy, you can't throw things at your boss. And I said, that's okay. I got to go back home. My stepfather has aggressive prostate cancer. So I called Frank and I said, okay, we agreed never to say the G word in our lab. I didn't say Gallo and he didn't say graduate school. And so I said, I have to go because my stepfather's lost his first wife to cancer and his 5 children wouldn't survive if they thought their father had cancer. So I said, I got to do something. It's time to go to graduate school. So I went on the hypothesis at the time in 1987, it was the T cell that was getting infected, that in the immune system. Doesn't matter, they're two, let's just say, the innate and the adaptive. So the T cells, we knew they were all dying. Why were they dying? Only 1 in 10,000 was infected. Somebody else had to be the shooter. Who's shooting the T cells? What is happening? It's indirect. We call it damage from a distance. So, and we proposed the hypothesis that turned out to be my award-winning thesis, because it said the macrophage, which is the innate immune response, it's your troops. They surveil all your mucosal surfaces. They go in your skin, in your blood, in your brain. Every body system has their troops ready to go. And they sense everything, and they act like little Pac-Men, and they gobble them right up. Anything that comes in, not just viruses, but microbes, toxins, environmental toxins. That's that part of your immune system. So that was the shooter. And so I showed how the virus was like a Trojan horse, and it hid in the macrophage. And certain environmental toxins would wake it up. It was asleep, wake it up, and then it infected more and more of the cells and crippled the other immune system. So my thesis basically said, you got to treat them as soon as you know there's any evidence of infection and prevent disease development. And that's what we did. So Magic Johnson was the first to do that treatment, and it took quite a heroic thing. So my PhD thesis was defended on November 14th, 1991. Magic Johnson was in the newspaper November 7th in the USA Today. And it basically said, and has having come up seropositive, meaning he had an antibody to HIV. Nobody looked at the sequences. Nobody looked at whatever. He's infected because he's got an antibody. He's been exposed. And so they said, based on your thesis at the molecular level, will he or will he not die of AIDS? And I said, if he changes everything in how he's treated, then you can see. And he was on the cover of Time magazine. Again, we're going to just follow Time magazine.
This is what they're talking about here. Now, keep in mind, this is AIDS. These are the type of things that's being hidden. Why isn't Magic Johnson dead? You see, why isn't he dead, but other people died? And this woman, she worked with Anthony Fauci. She's one of the ones who set up this AIDS thing. This is treatment that she came up with. But you don't know who she is. And it's for a specific reason, because it doesn't fit the narrative. It doesn't fit the agenda. So when you trust in science, this is what you're trusting.
Mhm.
1991. So nobody wanted, it was one thing when the deplorables were all, I shouldn't use that word, when the susceptible, it was your bad behavior, but this is Magic Johnson. This is, he's strong as an ox when everybody can get it. That's fearful. He's not gay. It's not, he's not an IV drug user. He's a basketball player where in a routine test, he has to get tested for HIV. And we still do that to this day. And they have to get certain vaccines, sports players, which again, drive pandemic. So at any rate, so this is, so I defended my thesis. David Ho is the medical doctor in New York City. He was on the cover of Time magazine somewhere. I think he was even Man of the Year that year for just taking the treatment. I have a PhD thesis. That's not a published document. We had 2 or 3 papers where the old boys corrupt network said, "Oh, you're an idiot. Your samples are contaminated."
So anyway, we're going to start concluding, but this is the point here.
The evil that lurks just around the corner.
This is what I want people to go away with here. You don't trust anything. You verify. And if you find someone who you can trust, if you don't understand what's going on, you find someone who you can trust to verify for you. Because when you trust anybody, science is not something that you can just sit there and just trust. It doesn't make sense to even say that. Science is something that it's an inanimate, it's just a tool. When you trust science, you have to trust the people the scientists. This is Eunice Rivers and those 2 scientists that infected the black men in Tuskegee. Do you actually think they care about people dying when they got people dying from smoke and lung cancer? 480,000 people dying every year. You got a tetanus vaccine that was laced with the anti-fertility drug in developing countries. So you got population control agendas going on. And if they want you to just trust these scientists, that's it for you. Anybody just go ahead and share it, trust science, or would you just trust your common sense?